That's right, people. It's that time of the week. You're now here with a very special show. And we're going to be getting ready. That's right. We're going to be jamming tonight. You're going to be jamming with me, and I'm going to be jamming with you guys with a very special guest. His name is Richard Baffoe Djan. And I'm
Hello.
so happy that you're on here, man. I'm going to be monitoring your comments that will be coming through on the good old mobile. So please, if you're watching this on the replay, leave a comment. If you're watching this live, get involved. You know what? You want to get involved on this one because this is going to be dealing with one of the biggest things out there other than social media, websites. Will I be right on that, Richard?
Right, it's all about websites today. It's
Yep.
getting yourself running very quickly.
And more importantly, we're going to be looking at the biggest source of websites at the moment, WordPress. WordPress is, let's face it, it is short and simple. There is so many people using WordPress at the moment. It is the equivalent of Android's open source, in terms of mobile phones versus websites.
Yes, it's the #1 blogging platform for websites around the world. It started out as a blogging platform. It's evolved into so many things, so many websites. It powers the majority of the web, which is great. So that's why I'm here to talk about that, to see how I can help you guys get the best out of WordPress and get your sites up nice and quickly.
Now, we've looked at social media marketing in the past. We've looked at power of Facebook ads. We've looked at all these kinds of things. And again, they say social media, sexy. But what pays the bills is SEO work, so therefore websites. Why is that?
Essentially, a website acts as a pretty much a permanent base that people can just quickly Google or Bing to find out who you are. It's essentially providing the proof that you might have, some of the proof that you might have on social media. The website is there; it can't go anywhere. So that's where they'll go to buy your stuff.
Now, again, like I said tonight, Sam and Lisa Marie, thanks for joining in tonight, guys. If you guys got a question, fire them forward as soon as you can, and I'll make sure that we will get these answered. So before I carry on any further, Richard, please tell us your journey. How did you get to this part?
Okay, so I was gonna say, let's start from when I was a child. Pretty much East London born. Went to school in East London. Went to university in East London. I went to Queen Mary.
Nice.
Engineering, and I found myself pretty much being a tinkerer on the computers. So pretty much anything that kind of needed to be done, I became that kind of guy that was just like, hey, Rich, can you help me with this? It's like, yeah, sure, we'll get this working. And started working at Apple, which is great. Met so many people working at Apple, and I met so many random people, from celebrities to just everyday users who loved Apple computers. And from there, I ended up leaving Apple with quite a few clients who needed websites.
Yeah.
So obviously, for me to get, it was kind of, where do you start? You start with WordPress. Great. You start putting these plugins here, there, and everywhere, and making something out of them, really. And I've been doing that for a number of years, on top of the other products and jobs and roles that I do as well. So one example is I work on apps for blind people, making sure that they can use apps. That's during a day, and I'm also a matchmaker in the evenings as well. So I like to be busy.
I take it you sleep around maybe 2.5 hours per stint, trying to get your 8 hours sleep, but you just wake up with further ideas.
Pretty much. Any ideas I put down on paper, and I kind of think, well, how can I make this happen? Or someone comes to me, I've got this idea. How can I make this happen?
And again, it's a fantastic process for people to be. Hello, Samuel. Hello, Jesse. Please get involved, guys. It's a fantastic process, going through so many ideas, getting it down on paper, then making it turn into reality. I've just had Jesse say that you're his cousin.
Yes, so we are related, very much so. I love the guy. He's funny. How you doing? Yeah, he's a good man. He's introduced me to quite a few people that I'd say, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, Jesse, as you're watching this and this is your cousin, please feel free to share this as well. Let other people get involved and benefit from Richard's knowledge. This is what this is all about. But more importantly, this is for the group. So I know within this group, almost 90% of the people in this group are independent business people that have their own website.
Mm-hmm.
We've had people who've come in here who've talked about the social media aspect on it. They've talked about all these, amazing elements. But like what you said, websites are, you can pretty much do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start off with WordPress, you're going to be confronted with, your dashboard and the back area, the back office area.
Back end, yeah.
The back end area. And obviously you're going to have a lot of themes coming at you. So from your expertise, how do you say to your clients or other people, who may be trying it for themselves, how do you say, look, you don't need to get overwhelmed by it all. Just take it one stage at a time. This is what you need to do. This is your strategy. How do you create a roadmap for them?
I'd say essentially, I actually tell them, don't think of this as it does everything for you. Let's start off with step by step, how to create a post or how to create a page. Where my job comes in really is to make sure they've got the basics all worked out. So the theme is there, it's working well, the contact form works well, the buttons work well, everything in that. So that's where I get paid essentially. For them, it's a case of, right, how do I learn this backend? How do I make it work? And I say, ignore pretty much 90% of it until you feel you're ready to go around and tinker with it. Stick to the 90%. Know how to create your posts, your video posts, your image posts, and know how to create your pages, because that is your bread and butter. And if you're someone who also uses WooCommerce, it's great to have, like, let's say, a 60-minute conversation on that. If you are using WordPress as your platform, including payments like PayPal or Stripe, because again, you need to deal with those orders when they come in and be able to manage that process. And I say to them, really, because my job is essentially to come up with the basics for them. I'll walk through what kind of theme they might want to use. I'll give them examples. I'll be honest, there'll be times when I will download a theme, I'll take a look at it, and I'll go, this is great, but bloody heck, there's a lot going on here. I don't understand what's going on, and I genuinely couldn't put a page together that appears like it is on the picture on the main page. And so what I found is that there are a number of quick tools, quick turnaround techniques that I use to really understand what a theme does and being able to get down and dirty and digging into it before actually producing a lovely page.
Okay, so we're looking at themes here. So one of the questions I got asked was in terms of themes. So you got Astra as the open starter pack. So if you're building up your website to begin with, you're looking at every WordPress tutorial on YouTube has said download Astra because it's got all the builders in there, including Elementor, which is by far the biggest page builder.
Yes, it is grown and grown over time.
Yeah, you got Elementor, you got Gutenberg, you've got builder blocks as well, or block builders.
Visual Composer as well.
Yeah. And what happens with a user is that they will look at it and they'll be absolutely overwhelmed.
Indeed. And actually, the minute you change themes, it might be another builder. And it's like, oh my God, how do I do that? Like, what do I do to get the same results? And sometimes that's just not possible.
Yeah.
So kind of what I recommend is actually downloading the demo data, installing it to the creator specification, and then working backwards from that. You can break things apart, recreate, duplicate pages until you get something along the lines of what you want. And that's the way I kind of suggest in the first instance.
So I had to move on across so I could see the comments that are coming through, which there are none. Come on, guys. Let's get some comments in. This is your time.
That's okay. A little bit deeper, and hopefully there'll be a couple.
There will be, because I'm very, very certain that there's going to be a couple, and we will address it. So, another one of the questions that came up to me, can you have more than one theme on, for example, one domain name? Now, you try and do a Google search, very, very difficult to find the answer.
Indeed, it is a very difficult answer. I'm going to give it to you. Basically, the answer is no. But there's a way around it, and that's to use WordPress multi-site, which is to host different sites on different folders within the same domain. You can also have subdomains as well, for example.
Yeah.
So if you install WordPress multi-site onto your basic front page domain, whatever it is, .com, and any subfolders from there, you can host a different site. So, for example, I have a shop, and I put /shop, and it's a completely different site, which is tailored for making easy payments, and that works for me, for example. And then I might have a blog site, which has a simpler theme, which is easier to read. Where you might encounter some problems is with the different themes, it's getting a consistent look between the different themes, and that's something you have to battle against, essentially. But in a sense, that's the easiest way to get a slightly different theme or a slightly different feel, without having to go through lots of code and lots of changes to be able to achieve that. So that's my recommendation there.
Well, yeah, and when you're talking about coding, people will also get very overwhelmed by what coding is. You have CSS code, you have PHP coding, you have some of the other things which are going on in the background, where really the front end user isn't going to be looking at that. They will be looking at, how can I get my website out? How can I get promoted? Because I want to attract people to me. Do people need to have that kind of level of knowledge to or basic understanding of CSS coding or PHP coding, or is it okay? Can they use plugins?
So it definitely helps to have an understanding of HTML, CSS, and PHP, and specifically WordPress functions. It's not absolutely essential you do. So there are plugins which allow you to do most things straight away. Now, some of these plugins are very much you pay for, and some of them you really pay for. So in terms of convenience, ease of use, and how popular they are on the internet, they can vary in price. What you have to watch out for is some of the dodgier plugins, or some of the plugins which pretend to do something and then you go, right, I need to pay a little bit more for that and a little bit more for that. So I'd say I've
WP Forms.
Yeah, WP Forms is one of them, and I remember you came to me with an example of a free form builder. I'll be honest, it took 2 years for me to find a good free form builder. And the one I recommended, which was called Beagle, very good, very simple. It just works, and I've used it. I've taken it off many client sites, I've taken WordPress forms off many sites and put Beagle on, and just said, right, here, customer, you can use this yourself rather than having to call me and having to make that change. And I'm happy.
Just out of interest, is Beagle from the internet direct, or can you get it from the back office when you put in for plugins, add plugins?
So I think you can download it on their website. So if you type in Beagle WordPress, it'll be the first thing that pops up.
I'll be doing that later on tonight.
Or if you can download it from the plugins page, but
couldn't find it.
Remember, you couldn't find it. That's a shame. That's a shame. That's probably why, actually. Yeah, but it's excellent because first time I downloaded it, I trusted it, and I thought, yeah, great. Anyone that asks, that's the one.
I mean, it's fantastic. I was very naive when it came to websites because I thought everything's social media based. As you spend more time on Facebook, you spend more time on some of the other social media platforms out there, Twitter, Instagram, now TikTok. But Facebook recognized that in order for us to make money out of this, we're going to limit you organically to maybe 20 to 40% of the people on your friends list. So you can't re-promote. Even if you tag as much as you want to, you're not going to be able to get access to them. Twitter moves too damn fast. LinkedIn God knows when your post is actually going to be seen by the people. And who else was there? Instagram. Instagram's an interesting one because you can get very good engagement quite quickly. But as with everything organically, you will have a limitation somewhere.
Yeah, indeed, and that's the unfortunate situation about these platforms as they've grown over the years, as people have become smarter. In a sense, it's their imperative to actually put limits on people and actually try and get more money out of those who want to promote something. So I totally understand why they do that, and that means we have a difficult job as people who want to promote our stuff to actually get the right people seeing it in the first place. However, there's still opportunities, and
Yeah.
having that website still provides that point at which the transaction can take place. Now, I know Instagram has its own shop now, which is absolutely amazing. I think that was a long time coming. It's come now. It's there. It's great. You can make your transactions, but in a sense, you still need to see that kind of proof that this thing you're buying is real, and you can't get away with not having a website in that respect.
I will admit, from my point of view, having a website originally, I got a free website done by UENI or
Oh yeah,
UUNIE, something like that. Still got it. So I've linked, because I paid for it, and I thought, you know what, that's fine. I'll be able to have all the functionality that I need from a website. And then I really understood that there was a limitation, big limitations. So that's why you needed WordPress. You needed those kinds of sites out there, because even Wix, Squarespace, these kinds of things, they'll pretty much will kind of use templates if they can, but there's limitations. When you've got your own hosting, your own domain, all that kind of stuff, you can add in videos, you can add in, royalty-free images, royalty-free music, download, upload, testimony. You can do so much more, and you can use the social media platforms to direct. One of the best examples was when I was learning about Facebook ads from Adam Stott, coach. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say anything bad about it. It taught the implementation side, but the very, very basic part, which I could have actually learned on a free 30-minute Facebook video.
Definitely.
And paid £750 for it. But it got things going.
These things always do. You'll learn something from these things. Whether you think it's worth it is a whole other deal, isn't it?
Well, it's just one of those things. The sales job was done, but it opened up my mind to the possibilities of what is really out there. And having the website was allowing me to do so much more. And again, linking it with social media, you got Google Analytics and Facebook ads. You work them hand in hand, and even with the plugins as well, with Google Analytics plugins, you're unstoppable.
There's so much power behind things like Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, in being able to find out who your customers are and direct them to the right place and learn a little bit about them. And sometimes it's quite scary what you can learn about them. And yes, WordPress is one of those pieces of software where it's just easy to include it on your website with a plugin.
Christ, is it so easy?
Yeah, it really is. And I've messed around with many other platforms, and it's not as easy. It's just not as easy. So, yeah.
And the thing is, it's consistently developing as a platform, and that's the thing that's keeping it. Like what you said it was on Bing. You can be found on Bing because they will index it on Bing. You'll be found on Google because WordPress is far more easier to index. Far more easier for the search, Google search consoles to find, while they do their crawl. You can't get better.
Indeed. I'll tell you some examples of things I've done as well. So my father, he has a gas business, and so I set him up with a WordPress site. It took 20 years, but got there again. He's a lovely old man, and he likes the idea of technology, but he's like, it's time for a website. So I created him a WordPress website, put WooCommerce on it to sell the products. Great. What got even better was once the WordPress site was there, I was then able to take the products using a feed and add them to Facebook Facebook page. And you can actually see the products. When you go to the Facebook page, see the products, and it'll take you to the WooCommerce page. And it's almost not quite as far as Instagram in terms of you could directly buy it, but you can definitely see what's there, see the selection without going to the website. And then actually the final step is, right, add to basket. And even better is a lovely Apple Pay or Google Pay symbol where you just pay straight away. You don't even have to get out your card and you're good to go.
Sorry, I'm not an Apple fan. I am more Android. And
sorry. I love that. Yeah. I did say, yeah, WordPress is like the Android of
websites, yeah, because it just sources everything. It really does. But it's amazing as a website, as a way to build up a website, as a way to engage your clients.
Yeah, it's even a good way to build a community. So set up a forum, or set up a networking club, for example. There's stuff out there. And again, I'm always one to say, don't pay too much for these things, because you can easily pay £1,000 for a forum, and you won't get much out of it unless you're willing to get that return on your investment. So if you're needing to start slowly, well, if you needed to start easily and grow fast, you know, there are plenty of good plugins out there which are practically free that you can get away with.
And again, the traffic as well, because it's important for anyone who's in here. You know, as I said, 90% of the people who are in this group have their business. They have either got a business on the side, you know, working hand in hand with their full-time job to keep the cash flow coming in while they're building up their business. But unfortunately, what's happened is that we've had so much focus on not WordPress per se, on social media, because it's instantly accessible. The issues that have happened in the past, you know, now Google has done this in recent times. I think 2017, they went mobile first. So they indexed it on the mobile. Hence why when more people do their search, what I didn't get my head around is that every time I want to find a phone number, I'm not going to the Yellow Pages anymore. I'm going to Google.
Indeed. And even so, you might be pressing the call button when you see the result on Google, and it's great and it's there. And then you realize actually they know you've made that call, and they know for how long you've made that call, for example. It's quite amazing the data that comes out of it, for example. Yeah. It's just the website is there to be the basis. Everything else comes out of it. So the product details or the blog titles can be put into Google, and actually you can do some amazing things with them to make sure they reach the top as well.
And that's the good point, because now that you start doing all the marketing, I put something out there on Facebook a couple of days, a day or two ago, is if you've got a Facebook business page and you've got a website, where would you direct someone to first? Would you direct them to the Facebook page? Would you direct them to the website if you're looking to promote your product or service?
Well, that's a good question. Essentially, I'd be directing them to the website. It depends on what I've got to sell. Now, if I've got an interesting, something interesting to say, which isn't directly related to what I'm selling, then I'd introduce the website in, visit my website for more details, blah, 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 if you want to get in contact with me. But it's essentially, as I said, the most basic thing you need is the website.
Yeah. And it's true. And the majority of people who answered that question said exactly the same thing.
Great.
So that leads to the next point, which is every business guru out there who is an expert in any kind of using the website to become your sales machine talked about two things. The first thing is landing pages. The second thing is bridge building pages. So bridge pages that will lead to either a product or service, and it gives you a chance to actually capture the details finally. While keeping it congruent. So that would be someone like David Sharp who would say something like that. He's a master in affiliate marketing.
Yeah. So those are absolutely great definitions of what they are. And some people don't know about them. I know some of my clients don't necessarily know about that when I start, and just how important it is. If you just send them straight to the homepage and let them explore, they haven't got the essence of what you're trying to sell them. So
Yeah.
in the end, someone's usually coming to you because they want something or have a problem that needs solving.
Yeah.
So it's in your interest to be able to go through the basic details that they need to know and where to get more information and actually where to press that buy button. And so landing pages, bridging pages, and product pages are all important and play the mix of them together, all play a big part in getting that sale at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, John Costani, Liam KJ, these guys are like masters in affiliate marketing. Something that I do on the side as well. That I'm going, But when I started doing that, I realized the shortfalls that I already had with my original website. Hence why I converted towards WordPress. But even then, filling in all the gaps. One of the things I had was plugins.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had two separate plugins, and what happened is that they counteracted against one another. So this plugin counteracted against Elementor and screwed up the page.
So what happens there essentially is because there are so many plugins for WordPress, and some of them do the same thing, just in a slightly different way to another. So you'll get conflicts in some places. One example would be the search engine optimization plugin. So you might have Yoast. Are you familiar with Yoast?
Yeah.
And then there's all on SEO. You try turning them both on at the same time, the website's a whole heap of a mess. But that's the battle you have to play with WordPress, and that's part of the extensibility of the platform. It has so many ways of doing the same thing, so you have to choose well. But usually, if you stick with one, you usually stay with it for as long as the website's up, or even for many years.
When you're building when you deal with a client, the process that you take them through, what do you do to help them find the best theme, the best plugins, to give them that journey?
So for me, I like to ask questions early on. What are you trying to communicate to your customers or to people? And what kind of look and feel really, really sticks out for you? What kind of other examples of other websites have you seen that essentially you feel would work for you? And then I'll go away and find a theme based on that. What I tend to work with is themes which are quite specific rather than general. So you might have, for example, the Divi theme, which has been sold as the theme that does everything. And it's great because it does everything. The problem is it doesn't do everything when you need it quick.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can use sample pages, but by the time you've dug into what the sample page does, you're back to square one. So that's where I come in, and essentially I will tinker with a couple of websites or a couple of themes. If I'll go out and buy one and then go, right, what do you need changing? Small changes, anything big, then we've got to start again, essentially. There's no point in trying to code your way around everything.
Yeah.
So in terms of the themes, choose something specific, choose something stylish, which people can really, really accept, essentially. Avoid old themes, because old themes mean your site will be hacked at some point. So make sure they're kept updated. Make sure you've got good security on your website. And again, I'll say it again, make sure they're kept updated. It's extremely key. I've seen many websites. I've had 2 websites hacked.
Wow.
And that's been painful because there wasn't any customer data lost, but it still hurts.
Yeah.
But just keep up with security.
Would that be with cookies and stuff like that?
No, so the basics of that is, in terms of security, is literally a good password on your back end. Make sure the plugins are updated. And make sure you've got HTTPS security. So Google will let you know whether your site does or doesn't. It's important that every website has security, simply because any transactions which happen over that won't be secure, and then you're open to all kinds of crazy things to happen.
Guys, we've got half an hour. If you're enjoying the content, let us know. You know, this is something for you guys. I've kept it exclusive in this group. I ain't shared it out anywhere yet. So please, got a question? Ask away. This is your time. You've got an expert here. You got someone that will actually take all your hard work and turn it and make sure it's guided in the right direction so that you can maximize your returns on your investment. Why are you not taking advantage of this? This is it. You know? So and this is again the benefit of having someone, you know, so many experts in this group that literally we can turn to their expertise. So use this time, use this platform. This is your time, guys.
Thank you very much for highlighting that. We do have some amazing people in this group who have a lot to share, and I'd say like keep going with this. This is absolutely great.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. I know from the past, and even by checking things like Fiverr and stuff like that, WordPress experts can charge up to £500, whether to fix it at the back end, whether to design a website. Some will charge less, some will charge more, but you've got an absolute professional right here. Take full advantage, guys. That's me saying that. Sorry, you know.
That's absolutely right. And yes, there are many places you can go to find WordPress experts. Fiverr.com is one of them. There are a couple of others as well. People per hour. I'm not on any of those. I just tend to keep quiet on those and not bother myself with too many.
Well, we're glad that you're here.
But what I would say is, you know, if you've given yourself a budget of 10 grand to build a website and you want to do it from scratch without WordPress, yeah, you might be able to do it. It might be painful. I code sites from scratch myself. I know about PHP frameworks. I know about backends and all of that. But sometimes when you just need something quick and something done, great. WordPress is there. If you want to improve on it and you want to dump WordPress, that can happen later. If you need something up quickly, that's the way to go.
Well, don't get me wrong. I've met those people who are back end heavy. They understand the coding down to a second, you know, into a primary language. That's their main language that they speak, not even English. You know, it's that way. And when you get into that kind of environment and that kind of person, it's very, you know, their social skills lacking. You don't put them in front of the clients. You bring them in as the heavy guns that will deal with everything in the back end because that's their language. That's what they speak. So, you know, it's interesting.
The thing is, I find myself being client-facing and having to explain quite simple concepts, you know, on top of the very difficult hard programming. Sometimes I essentially get it done quickly, and that's what most people want. Sometimes they don't care about what's behind the scenes, as long as whatever's displayed on the page is displayed and the tracking is coming in.
Yeah. Again, it's a tough thing, you know, for many people to grasp the concept, but they want things quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the pain factor when things go wrong, if they don't have a little bit of the understanding behind it, yeah. The best thing about WordPress is that you can literally go from one expert to another.
You can. Actually, most experts know the basics. They know what plugins might work for them, and they might see another person's site and go, okay, right, there's a lot we can improve on here. Or actually, I don't know how to use this. Let's scrap this and put something else in place. You kind of never really know. But I would say with any kind of tech, project you might take on, try and stick with the person that starts it. You might think painful times, but it's even more painful to start again 3 times.
Yeah, this guy.
Definitely.
But like I said, you know, if you've got a basic understanding of it and you decide to give it to someone else, you want to know that they're not going to pull the wool over your eyes.
Precisely, and that's the key. And actually, WordPress is such a good platform to learn the basics of the web as well. And there's everything in terms of plugins there to help you.
Okay, so tell us about your matchmaking.
Yeah. So I went on Take Me Out. Was 7 years ago now. Have you
Take
seen
me
the
out,
clip?
did you say?
Yeah, I was on Take Me Out.
Ah, okay. See, we
So,
had last week. We had an Oscar nominated, well, almost an Oscar nominated producer and actor. Now we got a local television celebrity.
I wouldn't go that far. Jesse will tell you a lot about that. I went to Take Me Out like 7 years ago. I met Paddy McGuinness. It was all lovely. But really, oh, I didn't tell you, I got a blackout. So
Oh,
no
what? You
girl.
got what?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. I
What
loved
was that you got? A.
it. Out. That's when the girls don't choose you.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
So yeah, so I went on that show, and yeah, it was great. And the reason why I went on was a bit fun, and also because I wanted to start a match. And so I did, and yeah, I get singles come to me, and essentially like, yeah, I want to find love. I want immerse me in the world of singledom,
Yeah.
and that's my job, and I do that most evenings, and yeah, it's great.
So when you're doing your matchmaking, are you using specific algorithms to match people up, or are you just like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. We'll pull out. Oh, they look okay. They look good as a couple.
Here's the
Oh,
So the difference is, I mean, originally I wanted to start with dating sites. Thing is, with dating sites, especially, there's a lot, hundreds of them out there, which are just places for robots and other things to kind of send you fake messages and that.
yeah.
And that's not what I wanted to get into. It makes good money, but that's not
Yeah.
what I want to get into. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to make sure that, essentially they're taken well care of, and they actually meet someone, and they fall in love. And there's nothing great about it, really. It's a great little job.
Well, the funny thing is, going back to WordPress and talking about dating, the very
Mhm.
first thing that happens will be you go onto a site, you end up on a landing page. A
Yeah,
pop-up
and
landing page will come up.
yeah. So my company introduced me to, built on WordPress. I've been through many themes. I've settled on one. It works. It's still updated. All the plugins are updated, and it's great. And apologies. Um,
It's live.
I know.
Listen, live. Anything happens. Yeah,
Yeah,
anything. Like I said before, we had a lady with a child screaming in the
yes.
background and suddenly jumping on their lap, and it was brilliant. We've had a cat in the background. Why not have a phone go off?
I don't have a cat or dog, or I do have a phone. I was gonna say I have a wife. You know, I'm in the door. Um, so yeah, in terms of kind of businesses building WordPress pages, I use WordPress to get started. And actually, that was the site that got hacked, and I was absolutely gutted. Which is why I
Yeah,
say update your plugins.
yeah.
There's some things like a couple which are terrible. I'll tell you what they are. There's Owl Carousel. That's a terrible plugin. If
Oh,
you
I got that.
keep it
Yeah.
updated. There's also WordPress,
Ah,
which is allows you to edit the individual pages and files on your WordPress system. Now, that in itself is almost a security problem, but allows you to its name particular feed very quickly. Um, in that instance, just keep them updated, because the minute there's an exploit, the minute the hacker kind of gets in, the plugin providers are usually very good at making sure those holes are fixed. But you need to update your site to make sure you get the benefit of that.
so as a if you have your WordPress site up, would you say update every day, check every day in the back end, or would you say check every week on the back end? How often would you advise your clients check?
I would say once a week, once every 2 weeks. Usually it takes months for these kind of hacks to start becoming a problem.
Mm.
But again, you don't want to do it the day after a new release comes out because there might be a problem with the release. So you have to give it a good amount of time and see what the change logs are. So the developers would usually write something to say it's been updated because of a security problem or that. Some developers don't. And you kind of have to just play with what you got, which is, again, why I say keep it simple in terms of the number of plugins you have.
Right.
If you don't use any, delete them.
Yeah.
And go with that, really.
That's been, I will admit, in my WordPress journey, that has been one of the toughest things to do, because you just don't know. All right, that one I don't need. I'll get rid of it completely. So you deactivate it, but you won't get rid of it.
It won't get rid of it. You have to delete it. Deactivating helps to a point, but just delete it. It's easier for it not to be there than for it to. You got to remember that WordPress powers so many websites. When there is an exploit or a hack, there's always someone there to take the opportunity. That's the trade-off we get. There's also one other thing I want to mention, in that, and this is to do with very strong passwords. Have a very, very strong password. So I have a plugin which basically, after 3 attempts of trying to log into my backend, it will stop the what it might be a bot or something like that from trying to log into my website. That's all great and all, but these computers, these bots, have thousands of passwords and they bombard your website. This happens all the time. Doesn't matter what website it is, WordPress or not, they'll bombard the back end of the website. It's trying to get in. And because many people use common passwords, 1, 2, 3, 4, Spurs. It's, I mean, I like Spurs, and if you're an Arsenal fan, then
Well, you must have been very happy over the weekend then. If people don't know, when you're watching this is the time when Man United have really been down in the dumps. Let's face it. Spurs destroyed Man United 6-1.
Aston Villa, I mean, they overtook.
Yeah, again. Yeah, they done 7-2 against Liverpool. Almost 8-2. But again, that we're digressing from football. So I know Chris Collum is watching this, and he's an avid Man United fan. So as you're a Tottenham fan, feel free to rub it in.
I'm not going to rub it in too much, but yeah. So yeah, keep a very strong password, and if possible, change it often. I can understand why people don't change it often. Familiarity is sometimes what happens, but yeah, security is key. Security is key, especially with payments data, customer data. It's important you keep it secure and don't get hacked.
Now, final question that came on plugins. Again, this is, before I ask that question, guys, we want to say a quick hello to Trevor Byers who's watching, Samia D, Chrissy Collum, Nana Bana, Jason Hawk, oh, damn it, and who's the last one? Chima Ogu. Thank you for joining, guys, for watching this. If you're enjoying the content, give us a like. Let us know that you're watching this. If you've got a question about websites, not just social media, put it in there. How you may even want to find out how to link your social media with your website, so you can, have, let's say if you're sending out a tweet, linking it across to the website so it's showing in real time. Those kinds of things. So guys, just get in there. Let us know. You got 15 minutes with this wonderful expert here who's clearly showing his expertise at all points. And this is the question when we're going to be talking about plugins, which I lost my train of thought now.
No worries.
Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. It's not coronavirus, okay? Right. So when we're talking about plugins, we know that plugins, just in general, there's so many out there. How do you define what is the right plugin for you? 1, and 2, there's a lot of plugins out for free. Yeah. And then in order for you to get the data from that plugin, you have to upgrade to the pro version. But they don't tell you that in the beginning. So how do you avoid that when you're doing your initial searches?
Right. So bad news. It's very difficult to avoid it. There's a trade-off between what you get for free and what you get in the pro version. And what I've found over time is I've learned what plugins to kind of avoid and what not to avoid. And that comes with just experience and going, this is frustrating. One example was, for example, the gas website I mentioned for my father. I wanted to make sure it sent him an SMS text message every time an order came in. Now, there are loads of plugins which could send a message out to the person who's bought the product, but not the admin person, the person administrating the actual website itself. But there were lots of plugins which were paid for. You can pay your upgrade, and we can do that for you. Right, okay, bit of a problem. And so I had to try 7 different plugins to do so. But what I did was I had a second site to be able to trial these things. I didn't do it on the live site. And sometimes that might actually work for you to have a second site which you could just tinker about with and play with. Sometimes they call it a staging site or a dev website where just a subdomain or a subfolder, and you can play around with it. You've got the same theme, you've got the same types of plugins, you've got the same content, and you tinker about with it. And that's the trade-off you have to play. In short, there's not much you can do about that, but then you kind of have to ask yourself, what can I get out? What's the best or the most I can get out of it without having to pay? Totally understand why you wouldn't want to pay. Sometimes it's great to do so, and it's always handy to look at reviews around the internet, look for real ones as well. Don't believe the first thing you see on Google. Even things like Trustpilot are great as well. You'll slowly find that there are some plugins you just know and trust through actually learning how to use them and going, you know what, that's all right.
Guys, we've got 10 minutes left before Richard has to go because he's an extremely busy guy, especially with his matchmaking.
Matchmaking later.
Where would people find you if they want to contact you for any of your services? Because you talked about matchmaking, and there was something else that you had as well, where scientifically it can help people.
Yes. So I have developed a technique with a lovely gentleman called Tony Bateson. It's a technique to release migraines. Very, very, very cool technique, and it absolutely works. I've had some great testimonials on it as well. So over the next few months, we'll be looking at releasing market. So I'm in very early stages of the. It's gone through clinical trials, and now we're going through product trials essentially. So if any of you know anyone who's got any kind of migraine or any really bad headaches, cluster headaches, stuff that takes days to get over, let me know and I'll sort them out with something. And then we'll go to market. We'll see how it does. It's a really interesting product, and so lovely. He's done so much over his life, and he's related. His ancestry very much in biology and science. He knows his stuff, and it's been a pleasure to meet him. So my job is to take what he's got, make it marketable, and I'm actually doing that with WordPress. So that website's called Migraine Ban. I think there's migraineban.co.uk. I've got the .com somewhere, but I haven't linked to it. My matchmaking is called Introducing2. That's at introducing2.com. That's TWO or the letter 2. My own website at rbaffoe.com. And that's pretty much it. I'd say the best way to reach is to message me on Facebook, because we're all on Facebook. But just leave a message on the website and
you're also on LinkedIn as well, which I was
on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
And
Twitter too.
Pardon?
But being on Twitter, no one can tag you in photographs.
Oh yeah, Twitter. Don't really use that.
That's why no one can tag you in photographs. Again, like I said before, from social media expert ways of talking, Twitter moves extremely fast, and to be able to maximize on things like Twitter, you need to be literally going on the back of someone else's tweet, either
Yeah,
retweeting it, finding something specific, or going into the thread and accessing those kinds of things. It's a tricky game, but every social media platform has its own language out there. You
indeed.
know, and that's the beautiful thing about websites. You can be as plain as you want to be, or you can be as expert as you want to be in terms of the language. There's someone who's going to be able to find you. Again, you have to work with the SEO elements behind it, the search engine optimization, SEM, the SEM, search engine management, and all these other things. It is a long game, test and refine, but it's worth it.
That's great. I think you're absolutely right in that respect. And I think, with social media, with Twitter especially, it's great to have the tools that enable you to find out when the opportunities are. Even simple tools like TweetDeck, for example, where you can see multiple tweets at once and then pick a couple and see the comments away rather than scrolling through the phone and seeing the small text. Really handy to have those tools around. Naturally, hosting and taking in your engagement is another part of the business. Yeah. You can spend a lot of time paying other people to do it. You can spend a lot of time doing it yourself, and you almost have to get that balance where you're knowing you're getting the return on your own investment, which
Again,
might be.
yeah,
And
which is organic versus paid based
yes,
advert, and there's so many experts out there when they talk about the organic side of things,
yeah,
but ultimately they all say the same thing: attract them to your website.
indeed. And so with the gentleman I've been working with on migraine back, essentially he's been working on it for 4 years. Kind of, you know, he knows the product, but he doesn't know how to release its potential. Hello there. Oh, is it dinner time? All right, cool. Hey. Yeah. All
Oh,
right.
that's so cool. Like I said, live, anything happens. This guy's having his dinner right now.
I did say at some point she would come. Lovely. So yeah, that's we've got what, 7 minutes left.
Yeah, well, Kwame, if you're still watching this, my nemesis in the wrestling world, well, pretend wrestling world, you gotta have a word with your cousin, man. And again, this has been an absolute pleasure talking to you about these kinds of things, and I hope that anyone who's watching this now, either on live or on the replay, they benefit from this. They feel that they can add to their website, and they feel that their journey in getting themselves marketed out is not going to be as daunting as it can be. There's so many things you can do with WordPress. You can even add in YouTube videos without taking up web space or web storage space, because it's just a direct link. Whereas some of the other web designers out there, some of the other platforms out there, you won't be able to have that access. So just talk to the experts.
Indeed. We're here to help. We're here to do for you.
I will admit, yes, I'm quite knowledgeable about these kinds of things, but I'm just a mere beginner when it comes to these kinds of stuff.
Lovely.
Before you go, Apple. So in terms of celebrities, can you dish the dirt on which celebrity you had the most fun experience with versus the one that you had the most horrible experiences with? Or
Oh,
did you sign an NDA on that one?
okay.
Non-disclosure agreement.
I can talk about that. That's absolutely fine. It was back in 2010. That's when I left. Wiley was one of those people that popped in. I was like,
Good or bad?
not bad or good. It was just a bit like, is that guy? Shit.
Yeah.
Like he's right there. Like, I listened to his music. It's really good. He's right there. I didn't get the opportunity to talk to him. That's a bit of a shame, actually. But yeah, he's there on the other. We're all crowded around going, oh, that's him. Angelina Jolie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And being 10 years ago, I mean,
that was a different Angelina Jolie at that time.
Very much so. And there were a couple of celebrities I just didn't know as well. It's like I'd be told, "Oh, someone came into the store." I was like, "Yeah, they're over there." Never would have noticed. What's his name? Rod Stewart. That just came to mind as well.
Wow.
Rod Stewart came in. I've served a couple, but I'll be honest, I don't remember too much about that. You just kind of go, "Yeah, I need to give him a Mac," because the thing with a Mac with Apple is when someone comes in to buy one, they're already convinced. You don't need to do the hard sell. So I spent most of my time just going, all right, here you go. Take this, this, and this. But you'll be fine with your Mac. Just go and enjoy yourself and go and learn a little bit about it. It will change your life. And I'll be honest, to those who don't have a Mac, do you have one?
No.
It will change your life.
Right. So for me, the reason why I don't have a Mac was because I wasn't a graphic designer. And traditionally, Macs were for those kinds of very creative people. And you need that processing power to be able to do animation and that kind of stuff. That was traditionally what Apple pushed themselves out to be. So to do other things that didn't need that, you needed a PC. So I was a PC guy.
Yeah. And
I just wanted the basic stuff.
I think it was until about 2009, 2010 when you could put Windows on a Mac. That's when I totally converted because I could go from one to the other. Since then, I've always stayed true to that. It's like if I need to pop up something on Windows or Linux, I just load it up. But most of my coding I can do within the Mac. I've got a Linux box right underneath here, which does its business. I've got cloud stuff as well. And I just find because the Mac can do most things pretty well, that's all. It changes your life in such a simple way.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, it is what it is, and if you know what the tool does for you, you're not going to be wasting it. You're not going to be wasting money because you understand how to use that tool. And the same thing when it comes to websites again. If you know what you want from your website and what you want to gather, what you want to build, and what you want to give, it makes it far more easy to market it out.
Indeed, actually, and say going back to WordPress in terms of what WordPress can't do, it can't do complicated things.
It's not supposed to
make a video, convert it, and do all of these things like some platforms do. But what it can do is it can showcase what you have to your customers and do it very simply. And
especially for the small business person that is trying to get out there.
Indeed. And that's what it's there for. That's his job. It started off as a blogging platform. It still is a blogging platform. And sometimes when you use it for other things, it can be difficult to kind of get the right balance in terms of the look, the feel, what you need to communicate. But it can still do it, and it can do it pretty well. Whereas there aren't many good landing page landing page builders, for example.
Yeah. I've had to go through a couple myself,
There's expensive ones.
One interfered with Elementor when I actually went live. It just deleted the page.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, it shouldn't delete the page. Well, yeah, it did, kind of thing. So I thought, all right, deactivate it. The page came back again.
Yeah. It's as simple as that, really. It's, you've got to be careful with these things, but actually, WordPress is there. It's been built for a reason.
Final thing. Okay. ClickFunnels, GrooveFunnels, these kinds of stuff which is out there. You must have heard of these.
I've heard of them. I've touched on them. I'll be honest. This is the stuff I have to do for migraine ban. And I've been having conversations about it with my team just to get that all sorted, really. What I find as well is don't overextend yourself with these platforms. Some of them have a lot of features which you might not need or use. But it's good to know the principles of landing pages and what they do, the bridging pages which have the explanation, the product page which has the product, and work between them. I'll be honest, that's the first thing about marketing on the internet is that if you can get that on top of your website, your quid's in.
That's classic sales funnels. And again, if you tune into the chatbot, can't remember the guy's name now. Sorry about that, guys. But if you haven't seen that one, this is linked in so well with all of this marketing platform here. I should call this page actually Heading Acquis Marketer, rather than mortgage advisor. We've just been talking about so much to do with marketing. But in the meantime, Richard, your dinner's going to be getting cold. Please, when we go, put in your links to your websites on the comments. And every Monday, please use this page. Add your services on here. Let people come to you. And guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this tonight. If you've gained benefit from this, let Richard know. This is what this is all about. Let me know so I can do more of these kinds of things. Next week, Wednesday, my guest will be Sean Skolman, who'll be talking about Bitcoin. This is an interesting area. And for tomorrow, my Facebook Live at 7 o'clock, tune in for it. I'm going to be talking about the credit rating agencies, credit reference agencies, how to build your credit profile up. Why is credit so important now? And why are there so many reference agencies when what when you're used to is one? It's a very interesting thing. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Richard, say goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
All right, guys. Have a great evening. Take care of yourselves. See you later. Bye.